for an hour, and we are live. Welcome to MLB. Yes, MLB live before lock. Sorry, I got to fix my camera.
Don't adjust your screen unless you're Josh. Adjust your screen.
Yes, I'm adjusting my screen because it's me doing MLB in April. Shout out to Greg being on vacation. I'm Josh Engelman. That's Eric Lindquist, and we are breaking down some baseball for the next hour. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter. You and I just did this for the NBA a couple days ago. Now we are back breaking down baseball live before lock style. You ready?
What a time to be alive. Yeah, this is actually a fun little sprint slate. Nothing crazy for you. 8 games. Very clear cut what we've got before us. So should be easy to kick it for an hour, get ourselves the heck up out of here before lock and be able to get our lineups in.
Yeah, this is going to be, I can't remember if I played opening day or not. It doesn't matter. I think I did. This is going to be like the first main slate I'm playing.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, Josh,
I've been NBA streets.
Yeah, you got everything. You got everything rocked and ready to go. And I mean, we've done this long enough. I think that being able to just jump back into the swing of things, the vernacular, it comes a little bit easier. I think at MLB, because it is so stats driven and because it comes off of, very data driven analysis on things. And then all of it goes to shit once the team that you center highlight puts up a big fat 0 and you don't have to sweat anything.
Rich B just said, remember, it's always process over results. Yeah, that's why I'm not stressing over baseball, because we've got outstanding baseball tools. I'm well aware of them. I know how to use them, and I'll be using them aggressively today to enter my 150 lineups. I got it all pulled up right now. The data's the data. The sim tools are great. You see it all the time. I'm excited to use them, and I'm excited to break this bad boy down. This is so, I haven't talked about baseball since, what, September? It's been a minute.
Yeah, honestly, I think the only baseball show that I can remember you and I doing was like the postseason 3 years ago or something. Because I know you're generally morning crew with Lofty for MLB stuff, and Greg and I have done a lot of the live before locks for, I don't know, all of the dog days of summer. But it's been a long time since we chatted about it. So excited to get your takes on some guys, and we've got some elite arms. We have some not elite arms, so that makes it an enjoyable mix.
We certainly do. We've got Tariq Skubal at the top of the DraftKings salary tier, $10,500. You've got Dylan Cease out there today. I mean, we got quite a bit of payups. Dylan Cease at 9,800, Dustin May at 9,300, Joe Ryan at 9K, Sonny Gray as the second best top 2 arm at 8,500. I assume friend of the program, Adam Scher, is going to play 100% of them. He's been playing Sonny Gray since before he got up to the league, unfortunately. We've got some value options as well. When you look at the pitching for today, who's the guy that stands out to you the most? I have my Sims run, and I have a guy, and it makes me feel like I'm Adam Scher. But what are you looking at right now on the pitching side?
So I'm guessing that would be Sonny Gray against Houston, where it definitely makes some sense. Generally a ballpark that's a little bit better, but Skubal at 10.5 is not unattainable. It's still going to probably end up being him when it's all said and done for him. First time through, 42% of my lineups. What's nice is the Sims tool does have us getting pretty flat across the pitching spectrum. Like, there's some slates where I end up jamming guys like Hunter Green yesterday. Some slates where you get like this one arm that it's just so impossible to get away from. And I will say the price tag is definitely the thing that is the most concerning about Tariq Skubal. Just what else you're able to get in that lineup, what other stacks you are. But the guy last year was just absurd. 2.83 xFIP, 5.9 WAR, everything from top to bottom. I mean, he was the best pitcher in the AL. That's why he won the Cy Young. And the strikeout upside you're going to get against a Brewers team that's still gasping for air a little bit, not very good. And I do think we're going to see more strikeouts for Milwaukee from the right side of the plate here coming forward as well. Again, 23% isn't all that high to start off this season, but just an 80 WRC plus. He's your in cash games, you're just not getting away from clicking on Tariq Skubal and then probably combining him with one of the Sonny Gray, Dylan Cease, depending on what other bats you're looking at. But Skubal is my start in tournaments and cash.
Yeah, he looks fantastic. I don't like overreacting to small samples to start baseball seasons. He only has 3 starts. He's thrown 16 innings. Only 23% K rate. He's been up over 30 over the past 2 years. I don't want to read into it because of how small that is, but one or two more starts of that being limited, and you start to think like, uh-oh, did he go too hard last year? And
His
we
velocity,
lost a little something.
his velocity's up a tick, actually. So it's up 0.2 miles per hour on the fastball, 1.5 miles per hour on off-speed breaking stuff. So we're seeing still really, really good stuff. And the reason you don't want to overreact to sample sizes is that everybody's either had really good matchups or really poor matchups. He's had to face the Yankees and the Dodgers within his first 3 starts this season. Now, Seattle, a little bit more advantageous, especially because he was on the road there, but gave up 3 earned runs, 8 strikeouts to go with it. Not the kind of outing you'd expect from Skubal against the Mariners. Up there, they do have more righty power and less strikeouts available to them from the left side than the right side, where we just were targeting them ad nauseum last year. But Dodgers, Yankees, those are not exactly going to be the easiest spots to go land throughout the entire year. So when you look at Skubal in the early sample size, like, it's a little bit loud as far as the K rate stuff. Milwaukee, the best strikeout matchup he's had this season.
Yeah, completely. And you can kind of like glean what you just said from the numbers. People are swinging way less outside the zone in those 3 starts. They're swinging a lot more in the zone. That's just plate discipline. That's just having better hitters, not chasing, squaring up more stuff in the zone. So I expect him to just be fine. Happy to spend the full freight on him. It's not going to be, to me, all that difficult. You could always pay down for bats if you need them. No one has a higher top 2 pitcher odds than Skubal on this slate, although it is pretty close with Gray and Cease. But I ran 150 lineups before we got started. Tariq Skubal is in 25%, so like right at the field, and I'm not surprised by that. We have him with a little bit of negative leverage. We have some other options that save you some salary, like Cease and Gray I'm over the field on both of them. Gray in particular, quite a bit. So it feels like Skubal's just there to soak up 25% of your ownership, and you just kind of move on with your day. I wouldn't mind jamming more, but I'm good with what I have.
Yeah, on an 8-game slate, I'm more inclined. Again, I'm at 42% right now in my first run. Okay. I'll rerun some stuff as we start to get more lineups to roll out too. We're still waiting on all of the evening lineups. We don't even have Milwaukee's lineup, so I don't even have them uploaded in my sheet yet. So I think for me, Tariq Skubal is a guy that on an 8-game slate, I'm more willing to maybe get above the field in a pretty prominent way, even more so than I'm just getting through the Sims. And Sonny Gray will obviously dig into, Dylan Cease will dig into, but in terms of safety, security, whatever else you might want to talk about, which, on a 13, 14 game slate, if he was pulling this kind of ownership and with this tag, I'd find pivots. I think I'd find ways to get away from it. I don't really have to on this one.
Let's talk about Sonny Gray, because I think that's the easiest spot. We got him at 23% top 2. We got him at 19% top value. So the best combination of upside and price is very clearly Sonny Gray. Coming in at about 30% owned, which we do show as like slightly negative leverage, but to me, properly owned, he's going to be the guy that I get to the most. I don't mind eating chalk when it comes to top tier pitching. And the way that I'm seeing this one right now, I'm going to fully expect Sonny Gray to be my most exposed starter. Everything is just kind of on his side other than the ownership, and 29.5% for what we have right now, it doesn't even bother me.
Yeah, he's getting tuned up pretty good to start off the season, but that can be loud, small sample sizes here as well. It's a Houston lineup. Obviously, you get a lot more batter data because most of those guys are playing every single day, whereas a pitcher is going to go out so far this season 2 tops 3 times. Like a guy like Skubal, where we've seen him 3 times, or Yamamoto, who we've now seen 4 because they played in Japan to start things off. But Houston, 23.4% K rate, 90 WRC plus against righties so far this season. You go back to last year, there are some like reverse splits guys that exist. Yander Diaz, that's kind of been for his career, although last year was much better, much improved, and actually outperformed against lefties. But coming into the big leagues, he was a reverse split guy coming from AAA. Jeremy Pena is really ramping up in terms of what that potential ability at the plate can be. 323 expected batting average, but just 44 batted ball events. I don't want to overreact too much there. Cam Smith still finding his footing at the big league level, up to 7th today, and Chas McCormick batting 9th. But I think my biggest concern is just like where we find that like elite strikeout upside right now. He's pulling the next most ownership, and I think it's more to do with the ballpark, more to do with who Sonny Gray is, still at a 30.6% K rate. The Ks have not been an issue. It's just the barrels coming along with it. And, you don't have a great strikeout matchup, I think, relative to what we are going to see in some other spots across the big leagues right now. I mean, Altuve, Paredes, never been strikeout guys. Alvarez, never been a strikeout guy. Diaz, pretty flat. Pena, he'll strike out more than 17%. But I think for me, Sonny Gray is a more than viable option and makes you, at 8,500 feel a little bit better about what else is in your lineup than clicking on a cease necessarily.
Yeah, I'm like the home run stuff for Gray is definitely worrisome so far. And I mean, he gave it up last year too. He's at 1.62 home runs per 9 so far, obviously only 16 innings, but the strikeouts, they haven't gone anywhere. That dude just gets them, and he gets them in a big way. Just gotta hope he doesn't give up the long ball. I'm glad Houston's not as good as they used to be, but if we're gonna keep staring at a 30% K rate this year, a 30% K rate last year for Sonny Gray, I'm just gonna hope that he keeps the ball in the yard. That's really all that we can do.
Yeah, last year, for those who aren't aware too, he had a better xFIP than Tariq Skubal. Like, that's the kind of pitcher that he can be. Like, he can be that dude. And once again, the strikeouts haven't gone anywhere on his side. Is it the best matchup for him? No, not necessarily. But you look at some of the other options that we have up here. I mean, there's wind blowing out to right field for a fly ball pitcher in Joe Ryan. We've got Dylan Cease, where the Cubbies have just been a fully operational Death Star. So, like, you've got some tough spots, I think, for a lot of the top end pitchers outside of Tariq Skubal, where he's got a nice soft place to land there to some extent. So consider he's 8,500 relative to 9,800 for Cease, relative to 9K for Joe Ryan. He's definitely the guy that I understand why I'm getting the second most of him.
Where else do we want to go here for pitching? Because when I look at my exposures after I run the sim, I am 2xing Sonny Gray, and I'm a little under on Skubal, but I think that's just a salary thing. After that, I don't really have any stands. I don't have any big, like, I'm 2 or 3x this low owned guy. I'm not like fading anybody else that's really getting any ownership. I'm right at the field with Cease. I'm right at the field with the rest of these guys. Very little wiggle room. Are you making any separations for some of these guys? Do you have a stand?
So there's two that are cheap or cheaper, should I say. One's $100 less than Sonny Gray, Shane Baz. It just has to do with what that strikeout ability could be for him. And we missed all of last season. So, like, there's not that sample, or 2 years ago. Shane Baz missed all of 2023, it was. And I think he's a really good pitcher. Four-seamer, curve, slider, changeup. You go through each one individually and look at the pitch mix. Everything looks pretty good. Zone contact percentage, chase percentage, everything across the board, like league average. It's not crazy good so far, but, like, I think his 97, basically, the velocity is right back to where it was. It's up a tick, 1 mile per hour from last year. And I think the strikeout stuff is just interesting. 31.4% is a big number to be looking at on this slate and pulling no ownership. The reason he's not is he is pitching in Tampa Bay. Like, Tampa Bay is going to play way up in terms of run production relative to any other game environment that we have on this slate going forward. They're at Steinbrenner Field, not at Tropicana. And that adds another level of uncertainty when you have a Boston team that last year, you go through their numbers, whether it was Devers, Duran, they just pulverized right-handed pitching. Hasn't come to crazy fruition yet this season. We know the slow out of the box week Devers had. He's back to hitting the ball hard for anybody who cares about such things. Only a 99 WRC plus, but let me tell you, 136 ISO. I'd be shocked if this Boston lineup wasn't way higher going up against right-handed pitching than what we've seen so far this season. And we've got some really short numbers. One thing I like to do when you're especially targeting home runs, Rafael Devers, Wilyer Abreu. These are some really short numbers that we're seeing in the home run market for each of them. And obviously, to win tournaments, I'm looking for massive events such as those. And it seems like Boston is definitely primed to launch a couple, but can he get enough strikeouts? Can he find enough there to potentially get there? I think I'm willing to roll with him in double-digit lineups, whereas field sub 10%, and I totally understand why.
I like the shout. So you said this before. This is how little I've been paying attention. It took me a second to process it all. You said Steinbrenner Field, and I was just like, Well, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I was like, why would Tampa why did they name their field after the owner of the Yankees? Not a single part of this makes sense to me. Totally forgot the hurricane, totally forgot they weren't playing at their proper stadium. It took me like I had to work through each step of like what was going on there.
No, it's been playing way up for run production. That and Oakland is the other one. We got Sacramento. It's the weakest of the PCL parks, and yet it averages over 9.5 runs per game in the PCL. So you're looking at that. And then as we get heat and humidity showing up in the summer in Tampa Bay, let me tell you, if you thought there were going to be no fans in attendance at Tropicana indoors in Tampa, wait until they get swamp ass walking to their seats. It's Steinbrenner Field into enemy territory. It's going to be interesting. Although runs should be scored, so that'll be pretty entertaining. I guess the other guy that I was going to throw out was Grant Holmes at 6,500. Part price play, part like an arm I believe in. I think there's positive things that have been going on with him. And 6,500 against a Toronto team that has a .085 ISO against righties to start off the season. I think a lot of the hard hit he's given up, if they can just keep doing what they do in Toronto there, I think he's going to find some more strikeouts. I think his pitch mix is at least interesting. Now, Easton Lucas has been pitching out of his ass. He's not this good, but Grant Holmes, 19.5% walk rate. Let's trim that down. There's obviously major downside here, but at the tag, 6,500, I think he's very interesting to be getting to in tournaments. And obviously all these other guys I think are efficiently owned. Like Dylan Cease, pretty efficient around 30%. You've got Framber Valdez, 16%. I think that's about where he should land on this slate. His launch angle's up a little bit across the board on each one of these. Tyler Alexander sucks, but he's 7K, getting a matchup there in that same spot against Detroit where they don't really crush after lefties whatsoever so far. And then Dustin May, 9,300. You can't imagine that there's a better matchup in baseball than Colorado, but how long do Dodgers pitchers get to pitch into some of these spots, considering coming off a bullpen game? Well, I guess a Miguel Rojas pitching game on Saturday and a 16-0 shellacking, close one yesterday, but they've got a pretty intact bullpen. 5 getting turned over pretty quickly. 9,300 for May seems unnecessary.
I like the shout out to Grant Holmes quite a bit. I don't know a ton about what's going on for baseball yet, but the fact that my Braves have Kenny Powers is kind of cool to me.
He does look like Kenny Powers. That. He does. That's honestly, I've never put that together. His baseball card. I've been doing baseball cards forever, but like it's truly out the side and the most Kenny Powers lookalike of all time.
La Flama Blanca, baby.
Oh my god,
love it. Love it. But yeah, I mean, big time strikeout stuff so far. At least he's flashed it, coming out of the pen last year and now in some starts so far this year. I certainly like getting more of him when I can. Anytime that I can get to any Braves pitcher, I'm happy. Anytime I can get to one at 6,500 with his sort of strikeout upside, well, feels like an interesting pay down SP2.
Let's also take into account his matchups that he's had so far this season. San Diego, Dodgers, Phillies. Like it does not get much worse than that to start off your season. Yeah. Toronto is a really nice spot to find out like, hey, 6,500, buy low on a guy who's had to face 3 of the top 6 offenses in baseball to start off. I think that we should probably take some shots on him considering the tag.
Just to share this quickly, we do have OddsShopper and the Portfolio EV tool if you're looking to drop any bets down on the baseball side. Link in the description if you want to sign up. 7-day free trial, always. If you've never signed up before, you can come check this out. We were talking about Tariq Skubal earlier. Under 6.5 strikeouts, plus 144 on NoVig, 5.4% EV. NoVig is drowning in high-value options on the baseball side right now. So if that is a book that you are using or it's the only book that you could use, there is a wealth of MLB bets out there right now. If you want to grab them on NoVig, you can take a couple shots. It's not just unders either. The top 2 plays here, if you want to get weird, 2 Phillies homers, Nick Castellanos and Trey Turner. It's always fun to sweat homer props.
Well, yeah, and obviously that's not on the main slate. And Landon Rupp's been insane, but there's also that Duvall character coming out of the pen here for San Francisco, who's been giving it up like crazy, even though he had been one of the more upside, high velocity arms that we had in baseball the last couple of years. There's so many ways where. So the one other thing that I've been learning a lot as far as NoVig and ProfitX, as far as what we're like when they're popping at the top of the board, you're getting people who are arbing some of these numbers or like running into spots where like, oh, I can go to both sides of it. And they don't care. They're going to post advantageous numbers that are going to be very, very positive expected value plays for you. So take advantage, find the best plays, and don't really think twice. There's such a market consensus around some of the sports books on some of these numbers, and people are jumping in early, getting a number, and then they're just posting the other side of it, guaranteeing themselves a profit. You're going to find really, really strong edges in Profit X and NoVig going forward, I think, in baseball.
There we go. Do you want to touch on any other pitchers? I'm going to pull it up quickly on the FanDuel side, just because we're going to be talking about a slightly different situation. FanDuel is being dominated by two separate arms. Dylan Cease, 29% owned at 8,400. Broken price tag on FanDuel for today. Tariq Skubal, 22% owned. He's at 10-3. Sonny Gray, much closer to Skubal in price, much more expensive than Cease here. So he's the third most owned guy, but doesn't stand out in the same way. Those three guys are soaking up the large majority of what we've got going here. Do you see FanDuel in any different way? They still seem like the three best guys, but just in a different order.
Yeah, different order because of the tags. I mean, the Cease tag is broken. I don't know what to tell you about that. I mean, it's 8,400 for him. I get it's a tough matchup going up against Cubs that have some lefty power up and down the lineup. Even Pete Crow Armstrong going double dog yesterday. I think we're going to see him continue to ascend. He's already one of the best defensive players in baseball. Offensively, with the speed he has on the base paths, the things he can do, I think he's going to be a great piece for this Cubs team for a long time. I know they tried to lock him up recently, didn't happen, but all of that being said, Dylan Cease is too good to be priced at 8,400. And Tariq Skubal, 10-3. I don't think FanDuel has been as advantageous in terms of the pricing as what it's been in the past. We're getting some 5K tags on batters a lot earlier in the season than when we had seen last year, like high 4Ks for sure for some of those top guys. So 10-3 isn't what it used to be, where it's like, oh, I can just easily click on him in cash and make it move around with the rest of my lineup. I think Cease is definitely your click in cash on FanDuel, but in terms of tournaments, if you were to just flip-flop the two, have them be in half of your lineups and then be pretty spread out the way that we talked about with SP2 on DraftKings, I think it makes a lot of sense over here. Is there anybody that you would want to play that isn't Cease or Skubal that you'd just like want to make some kind of a stand on? Because I don't even have that on FanDuel with some of the pricing.
$8,700 Dustin May seems interesting as a bit of a pivot. You know, you get Colorado coming in, they're dog shit permanently,
Yes,
especially on the road. 3.4 run implied total, tied for the lowest on the slate. He'd be the guy that I'd want to look to just from a matchup perspective. He might be able to just coast through 6 of like not having to worry at all about Colorado. That'd be the only guy that I would just be like, he's a little bit further down the list.
Yeah, that's a good shout because, you know, I'm obviously thinking on DK and FanDuel both, where it's just like, oh, you want to get the quality start and, you know, you can get a quick hook, but he could get so many strikeouts against Colorado early on. 5.5K prop. Yeah. Again, there is plus money on that over. So for me, I've just kind of been staring and circling that one all day here, seeing if I can get an advantageous smack on Profit X or NoVig for those. But for the most part, I totally get the shout because in terms of run prevention, outside of Brenton Doyle, you get by him, life is very easy against the Colorado Rockies. My main thing is like Shane Baz, where I like him on DK. He's 10-1 on FanDuel. So it's just like, that is really tough to stomach when you have Skubal for 200 more. Easton Lucas is 9K. Nobody's going to play him, nor should they. I mean, there's just not like anywhere else I'd want to go. I like the Dustin May shout, though.
All righty. Well, I think we've done a pretty good job working ourselves through the pitchers. About right around the halfway point of this bad boy. So if you haven't done it yet, hit the like button. It helps us out a ton. It costs you guys nothing. It doesn't even cost you guys really any effort. One button click. I'm pretty sure that we can handle using your mouse for one click. It's not going to break it. I'm pretty sure about that, at least. So that's where we stand right now on the pitching side. But it's not just pitching. Hitting's the most fun part of this, because now we can talk about all these crap stacks. This is the best part of baseball. I haven't gotten a chance to like really talk about MLB DFS yet. This is my favorite thing. The fact that you could roster anybody and still win. It's not like you could roster the 8th man of 8 different teams in the NBA and have a chance, unless it's like the final 2 days of the regular season and salaries don't matter. You can roster, like right now, Milwaukee has the lowest top stack odds at 2.7%. 1 out of every 30 days, the worst team is just going to be the best stack score 12 runs, hit a bunch of homers, bust the chalk pitcher, and everything's different. It's so fun. So we're looking at it now. Surprise, surprise, the Dodgers are the top stack against the Rockies today in LA. Who could have seen that coming? They're pulling a decent chunk of ownership, obviously very expensive. Atlanta is second in top stack, but also the second best value stack. Overall, that's probably your best stack if you want like functional value. The only other team with a 9% or higher top stack is going to be Boston. So they would be the three teams that are best. Is the team you like the most one of those teams?
It is not one of those two teams. I guess, do I like the most? The Dodgers have the best chance of winning you this slate. So if you're coming into this slate and you're saying, I need a win today, the Dodgers probably do it more than any other team, but they're not my favorite relative to ownership. And I'm always looking for leverage. And the more you use the Sims tool, and we do this a lot when Spags and I are on shows, I go through the top 5-man stacks that you can see in terms of Sim ROI. And it's almost always going up against like the most popular arm to some extent. There aren't as many of those that are built out, but over any long-term sample, I am looking for some type of leverage. I'm looking for, something that can then pan out for me in that direction. And I let the Sims tool do a lot of that work, and it's easy to reverse engineer when you're just looking at that portion of it. But I do think the Dodgers are the most likely, but they are not my favorite stack, nor is Atlanta against Easton Lucas.
From what I see in my exposures, I've got quite a bit of Boston 5-mans, which not surprised by.
Yep.
9.5% top stack odds. Not the best value stack in the world, but right around the field. So Boston is my most exposed 5-man. My second most exposed 5-man, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yes. Yep. That's my favorite. Tampa Bay, the game environment. So again, it comes down to the ballpark and what we've got going there. Relative to every other ballpark, we get heat and humidity at first pitch. Everywhere else that I'm looking, 59 degrees there in New York. You're getting 80 wind blowing out towards right field in a replica type of the old and new Yankee Stadium as far as the dimensions. It's played up for power. And you get on the other side of this one, Tanner Houck, who I've just always hated. Now, last year was a lot of smoke and mirrors. I can't believe he found his way into as many good starts as he did. 3.12 ERA next to a 4.11 expected ERA. You go through some of his swinging strike numbers. He just doesn't have any type of strikeout stuff. He does throw the sweeper, which can be a decent pitch. And it went from a non-existent pitch. He didn't have it in 2023. That was his primary go-to at 41.5% of the time last season, down to around 38% this year, but still his primary pitch. I just think the book's kind of out on him to some extent now, and you got to get ahead in some of these counts. The split finger isn't all that enticing of a pitch. To me, he's throwing it almost exclusively to lefty bats, trying to be effective in that regard. It's got a chance to be successful here and there, but in this game environment with Brandon Lau on the other side, and then I just think some really high upside bats. I mean, Jonathan Aranda is going to start smacking baseballs. He already is. 703 expected slugging, 471 xWOB is ridiculous. Cameron Meisner, somebody who can keep the line moving here. Jake Mangum, even in the 9-hole, we had seen him batting 3rd and 4th earlier in the season as they had other pieces out. Christopher Morel, overall, this is just a Tampa team that I think has tons of upside in this ballpark against a pitcher who's just not very good. And they're middle of the pack in ownership. They've got leverage coming in on them. Everything kind of checks out.
Yeah, they're in 13% of my 5-mans. Got a couple 4-mans as well, a couple 3-mans, nothing too crazy, but those are the two big stands, Tampa and Boston. From an individual player perspective, where am I getting?
Oh, Brandon Lau.
A lot of David Hamilton, a lot of Jarren Duran, a lot of Devers. That's all fine. Brandon Lau, Yandy Diaz, Danny Jansen popping for the Tampa side. So that looks good.
David Hamilton, 2,100. It's just lineup filler at its finest. Yep. And he's working out in everything with second base, shortstop, just kind of is mixing out that way for me. Tristan Cassis, one of my highest owned first baseman on the Boston side as well. Rafael Devers, one of my highest owned third baseman. I just really like this game environment. So yeah, I'm on both sides of this one, but a little bit more on the Tampa side than the Boston side, purely because of where the ownership is.
So we mentioned 3 teams out of the gate. We mentioned the Dodgers, we mentioned the Braves, we mentioned Boston. I would have liked to get to a lot more of Atlanta, them being my favorite team and all. No such luck. Well under the field on Braves 5-mans. I'm guessing the value and the ownership that's going to those guys is sort of pushing them back down.
Yeah, they've been
Do
a
you think you're
train wreck
to Atlanta?
against.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I want to play the Braves.
I know you do, but they have a 54 WRC plus against lefties so far this year. It's just been absolute brutality. And I don't think Easton Lucas is good for what it's worth, but he's pitched really well, indisputably, to start off this season. 237 expected slugging. On a different slate, I would take some shots on Easton Lucas, and he's had some strikeout stuff early on. Again, I don't think that this is going to be the case. He's a 3-pitch pony. He's throwing a 4-seamer like 57% of the time. He's got a change that's a decent enough pitch. That's kind of been his go-to for swing and miss here, up in counts. But like, I'm not a big Easton Lucas guy here. I definitely like rolling the dice on some Grant Holmes on the other side. But if this were a spot where Atlanta, we just have enough other spots to be able to land. And Eli White is in the lineup, by the way. I thought that was pretty funny. Wanted to point that out too. He's batting ninth
talk
today.
about that.
It was, it made me laugh. But anyway, I definitely think Easton Lucas is not all that good, but the field also is just accepting that he isn't. And that doesn't seem like the right way to go about it. None of these tags are like out of control because of how bad they've been, but specifically against lefties, it's just can't really touch it. Can't really get myself there. And if I'm playing a chalky stack out of everybody up top there, it's going to be the Dodgers side.
Yeah, let's talk through the Dodgers here. Are you getting them? Because you start looking at their prices and you start thinking, well, like, what is coming along with a Dodger stack? Because you've got Ohtani at 6,500, Betts at 6,200, Oscar at 5K, then a couple 4Ks. Honestly, these guys are a little cheaper right now than I remember them being to close out last season. Is it just easy to get to the Dodgers?
Yeah, it's easier than it should be. I mean, Ohtani is my highest owned batter on the entire slate. He's in like, even in the Sims, if you just run the Sims unencumbered, you're going to get like north of 60% Ohtani in your top 150. Like
62%.
Yeah, 65% is what I ended up with. I ended up capping him at 50% just because I was like, I could probably find some other ways of potentially differentiating, but I'm going to be over the field. I mean, that's really what you get a guy who goes 50-50, home runs, stolen bases. You get Antonio Senzatella up there where you get him even outside of Coors. It's not exactly been easy going for him so far this season. 441 batting average against lefties, 440 WOBA going up against. You have just an incompetent bullpen behind him here for Colorado. And yeah, once again, you're not in Coors Field, but Dodger Stadium's a pretty darn good hitting environment. It's not steroided out right now. We're not in the middle of the dog days of summer. We're not, sitting there with 78, 90 degree weather or something like that. It's 60 degrees, but wind slightly out. 5.7 implied run total at Vegas. I just find Ohtani at 6.5 to be still super easy to get to on this slate. And Freddie Freeman, 4.9K. If he ends up in this lineup, which I do expect him to obviously be batting third again, I like going and taking some shots there. Tommy Edmonds been better from the left side of the plate. Will Smith, Michael Conforto. Like, there are batters that are already hitting well for the Dodgers, and I think there's positive regression for guys like a Will Smith, a Max Muncy, who's been awful to start off the season. Pages, they're going to always want his center field glove, but like, he's going to be better against lefties. I don't think there's any question about that. Righties aren't necessarily his thing, but Senzatella is everybody's thing. So it's a Dodgers team that, I'm going to get way more Ohtani than I get as this team as a 5-man stack, but rightfully so.
You said Max Muncy's off to a bad start. Do you mind being more specific? I'm having trouble remembering which Max Muncy is off to a bad start.
Oh yeah, because there's two of them and they obviously all hate us. He's batting 176, 232, 255. He's slashing. It's really brutal at the plate. He's striking out at a 43% clip. They keep burying him in the lineup. He has 3 barrels on the season. He has 0 home runs. That is wild for Max Muncy. 56 plate attempts, 51 at-bats, 0 homers thus far this season for a guy who last year had an 852 OPS. Right now at 487. So it's in terms of specific, there are too many numbers that are going bad for Max Muncy to narrow it down to just one.
That's funny that they both suck. It's also wild that 2 Max Muncies made the major leagues. Like,
that aren't related.
It'd be weird if they were related. They're both named Max. How weird would that be?
But then there's at least correlation to the genes, I suppose. Like, You know, I would.
You
I
don't,
would.
you don't think it'd be weird if you had another family member named Eric Lindquist? That'd be weird as shit.
Yeah. There was another one that ran a half marathon with me one day. Half marathon in LA one time. It was another Eric Lindquist that I sat next to at the bar. It was pretty funny. I beat him for what it's worth. Faster.
Any way we could swap you guys out? Just checking. Not a lot of Josh Engelmans running around, although there is one that reached out to me on Facebook many years ago.
Oh, that's nice. Was that like a
international character, German or Dutch
or
something? I don't know. Yeah,
just hit me up to try to get a visa. Just be like, hey, send me one of your old ones, or pay you a lot of money to come visit so he could get a passport.
He's probably really mad that I have every single Josh Engelman handle that exists. Gmail, Twitter, Facebook, all of them. I cornered the market. So he was younger than me.
This is actually fantastic. So I have Eric C. Lindquist as my Gmail, just as like a way of like differentiating it, because I couldn't get the Eric Lindquist or whatever. But yet there's a lot of gambling services, or like when I was going to Vegas to go do all of my betting and go to casinos a lot, like 10 years ago, I basically he would get all of my emails because they would not add the extra C in the middle. And there was a guy in my fantasy football league who reached out, like, trying to get a hold of me to get entry fee and do whatever else for a league for a year. And the guy emailed back. He goes, "Can you please, for the love of fucking God, quit sending me all of this gambling shit?" And so what everybody does is they sign up with Eric Lindquist at gmail.com just so he gets flooded. So anytime anybody goes on vacation in the group thread, he just gets bombarded by our nonsense. And we ended up getting a picture of him on LinkedIn. And so our fantasy football league is the other Eric Lindquist.
That's outstanding. Good work.
Pretty great. Thank you.
I miss those old days of like signing up your friends for bullshit. Sign them up for like job interviews at Wendy's. Sign them up for magazines, diapers, baby stuff. That was a good one. We used to sign people up for like all sorts of baby related stuff, and then it would start showing up at their parents' house. What the fuck?
So good. See, there's good natured trolling like that. That's good natured trolling. I enjoy it.
Hey, friends come into school the next day. They're like, "Yo, my mom thinks I knocked up so and so. All we're getting is Pampers brochures in the mail today."
So good.
Yes, James, you can still do that, but it's not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah, now you get in trouble for such things, or somebody can cancel out of it. They can void it. They can like block it. It sucks. It's not as
probably
fun.
A hate crime or something now.
Yeah.
1, 2, or 12, depending on how you want to read that. Is the other Eric actually good at golf?
I want a green jacket this weekend. I'm just saying. My men's club. Just saying. Nice little. I want a green jacket. True story. 1, 2, fuck club. You.
What do you do at that men's club?
Stroke it.
What else? I mean, we all knew that. So we've talked a couple stacks. We got to talk one more stack, though, okay? I want to hit one more thing. Who's the off the beaten path team you're willing to get to? Because I'm going to ask this question and chat's going to tell me I'm dumb and whatever. The highest leverage stack on today's slate is your Colorado Rockies. Should we look at them? They're playing in LA. It's a great park. Obviously, they suck on the road. Positive leverage, though. Cheapies.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end up with a little bit of them when it's all said and done. Let me pull this back up because you go into the stack ROI portion, and Tampa Bay is number one in terms of 5-man stack ROI. If you just look at it in your pool of lineups over in the Sims, Colorado is second, and that's understandable. But I'm only building out like 43 out of my 5,000 with Colorado in it. It's like a scarcity thing more than it is like I really want to fire them up type of thing. I think the weird one, I mean, Boston and Tampa Bay aren't pulling the kind of ownership I thought that they would, and Boston still looks pretty good. Even though I'm playing some Shane Baz, I do see a lot of these lefties, and I see the numbers that sportsbooks have listed for it, and it makes it pretty easy to get to. What do you think about Milwaukee going up against Skubal? Because I think that there's a world where he gets pushed to that 35-40% number, and it hasn't been as clean for him to start off this season. Early season, you generally see pitchers just still rounding into form. I don't think I'm going to end up doing it in single entry. I don't think I really want to take that shot. I'd much rather be on the Skubal side, but I think that's where everybody's kind of at. I'm at least curious to hear what you think about firing up Milwaukee bats, because they have power with, Churio on the right side. There's at least some cheapies that we can pair with it. Rhys Hoskins has had an awful start to his season. Contreras has been good, but, it cleans up your catcher position, just a lot to be spending there. What do you think about them specifically?
I mean, I definitely am interested just because of the ownership coming into Skubal. The top stack, like the problem for me for Milwaukee is the fact that they're also not that great of a value. And that's sort of what leads me to looking at Colorado instead.
Okay. I get that.
Not that I have any issue with Milwaukee. Did I have any on my last run?
Yeah. I think the answer of the team that isn't pulling any ownership that I'm at least interested in is the New York Mets. I think the Mets, with the wind's blowing out, it's 5.7% ownership share. It also has some lefties here for Joe Ryan that are interesting. He's a fly ball pitcher, extreme fly ball pitcher, right around that 22, 23 degree launch angle over the course of his career and so far this season. So you get that wind blowing out and you have some lefty pop with Soto, Nimmo, guys of that nature, but kind of what you're talking about, they're expensive. And that's why you're not really seeing ownership coming in on them. Seth Lugo, somebody that I'm also going to get some one-offs against. Why I'm not playing just 65% Ohtani is getting to a little bit of Judge, getting to a little bit of these outfielders that I think you can rotate through and find a lot of upside. Seth Lugo, I don't believe is very good, even though last year's results would tell you otherwise. Right around a 3.14 ERA, north of a 4 expected, and negative regression due for him, but not my favorite spot relative to everything else on the slate. But the Mets have a definite path to upside against a fly ball pitcher with this, with the hitting environment and target field tonight.
We are roughly 45 minutes into the show. We got about 15 minutes left to go. Still a couple more lineups to come in. Obviously, that's not surprising. It's only 5:45. We don't expect to have everything by this point, but we do have a lot of lineups. We're waiting on the Cubs, the Padres, the Rockies, and the Dodgers. But I think you guys might be waiting on this. Who's the best play of the day? Boom! Nuke of the night time. This one's a little different. Nukes are different in the NBA compared to baseball. So I'm going to send it to you any way you want to do this. Is your nuke a pitcher? Is it an individual hitter? Or do you just want to nuke a stack? Go whichever direction you're feeling today.
I'm going to go to Tampa Bay as the stack, but I'm going to go to an individual hitter that I think is just underrepresented. And I'm very happy that the Sims are getting me tons and tons of this character. Brandon Lau is just routinely one of the best lefties in baseball whenever healthy. The major problem is he's never healthy, but a 633 expected slugging right out of the gate this season, 46.5% hard hit right from the get-go. I mean, he has one of the best. I mean, he doesn't even have crazy bat speed for what it's worth. I mean, he's just always been a barrel on ball type guy. And I mean, the expected slugging sit up there in the 96th percentile right from the jump. Cleans up second base for you. You have other options, like you can play Hamilton there. You can also play him at short just as a salary saver. I do think Tommy Edman, somebody that I want to get to a little bit of, although the Dodgers are pulling the most ownership. So I'll go a little bit different. He's only pulling 5.5% ownership here against Tanner Houck. I definitely want to go up against Tanner Houck here in this ballpark, in this game environment. Brandon Lau, nuke of the night.
I'm going to get weird because I'm feeling this one today based on our data. The nuke of the night is the Colorado Rockies. I'm not just messing around. This is a serious take. 3.2% positive leverage. While they don't have the highest top stack odds in the world, they are not last, which is appealing. And these guys are next level free. Number one value stack that you can get to. The park, amazing for power. It's actually significantly better than Colorado. They're not even comparable. People think that Colorado's, it's not. From a home run perspective, LA by a mile. I mean, their projected lineup right now, the most expensive guy in it is 3,600, the Tovar in the leadoff spot. That's nothing. Otherwise, they're mostly free. I'm going to take that positive leverage as a stack because I'm in a mini max today. That's a massive field. When you're in those massive field contests, I'm more likely to want to take shots at the bottom. I'm going to take advantage of that positive leverage today. Colorado Rockies are your Nuke stack.
Man, it's uncomfortable. I mean, the best hitter in the lineup may or may not be there today. Brenton Doyle. Doyle rules. He's the only guy who's had a pulse for this team. He basically single-handedly is responsible for like almost everything they've done from a run creation standpoint early on in this season. And yeah, what you said is super true with Dodger Stadium relative to Coors Field. Dodger Stadium, top 5 in every metric over a 3-year rolling sample size, top 3 in terms of power, and number 2 in lefty power behind Anaheim, where Anaheim lost Ohtani. And then, well, let's go to the second best ballpark for lefty power potentially there. Obviously, Cincinnati, number 1 in everything that you look at over any sample size. And it'll play small again. Once we get to the regulars, or like it'll be warm quickly here in Cincinnati, but with no Doyle there, you also have everybody free. There isn't a single outfielder above 2,800. Tavares 3,600. McMahon, who's had an awful start, is sitting at 3,500. Toglia is down to 3K. Hunter Goodman, who's actually good, is 3,200. Like what you said is very, very true. You better be playing some Skubal and another expensive guy with it, because it's hard to use your money effectively there. But no doubt about it, Colorado against Dustin May. It's been hit and miss for him in the early portion of the season, and obviously one of the better hitting environments out of everybody on the slate.
5% 5-mans, 5% 4-mans for me for Colorado. I'm going to take that stand for today. That should be a real blast. 1, 2, and or 12. I will not be asking that question or showing it on the screen. Thank you very much. But I'm sure there's not a lot of choices. It's got to be like the basketball version for us.
Yeah, Mookie Betts.
Yeah, it's a lot less than it normally is. That's for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm liking Colorado.
I don't hate it. Yeah, again, that's doing this day in, day out. If you're going to play one day today, maybe Colorado isn't your style. If you're going to play over any long sample size, I would very much like to be overweight to a lot of those bottom feeder stacks that are grading out so well in the Sims tool day in, day out.
Let's see if we have any other interesting bets showing up on OddsShopper and the Portfolio EV tool right now. That Castellanos homer is still out there. Trey Turner is still out there. Junior Caminero is now on NoVig for good homer odds. Brian Hayes.
I really like that.
Nate Lowe.
Yeah.
Ooh, which one?
Junior Caminero is an interesting guy because he had an unbelievable, it would have been early spring. It was like back in January. December, January, it would have been when the Dominican Republic has their main season. He was the MVP of everything that they did over there. He hit for crazy power. He had some ridiculous bat flips that were just, I mean, the guy's electric. And so far this season, just not lofting the ball at the moment, 3.4 degree launch angle. That's why he only has, 3 homers, despite having some of the best bat speed I've ever seen. 79 mile per hour bat speed is just absurd. I mean, for context, that's like Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton is a freak of nature. And Caminero is like equaling that as a 21-year-old. As he develops, as he learns to loft it, there's going to be a ton of pop for Junior Caminero. So yeah, being early to the party on a guy that you don't like I don't like Tanner Houck, plus 700 is a big number. But again, be very unit conscious when you're putting home runs together here right out the get-go. Look at some of those recommended bet sizes. Not your typical bet sizing you're going to get, considering, again, these are plus 700, plus 835. You want to be very careful with some of those starting out.
That's good, man. Do you have any other bets? We did get that question. Waylon F. and Jennings wants to know if you have any props that you've played. Anything you have an eye on that you care about, at least?
Yeah, plus 110 Freddie Freeman. He just got back into the mix. Senzatella is just brutality. So a couple of the later ads there. That Dustin May one, I don't know why I can't find myself to pull the trigger on it. My math, I thought was pretty good on it, but it looks as though over 5.5 is just going to stay off the card, because you look at his total outs, like you look at his pitching outs props and kind of compare that to what you're getting over there. There was like a plus 135 over at NoVig earlier, and I was like, oh, I'm absolutely going to jam that. And it didn't end up showing out on Portfolio EV from a market-based perspective, and projecting it actually ended up closer than I expected it to be. I'm still going to pay attention to it. But homers, I love, we didn't even talk about him. Where did he go? Brandon Nimmo. for the New York Mets. Plus 520 at FanDuel is where it was. He's batting cleanup here for the Mets. You get a fly ball pitcher helping out a little bit of the loft, coming off of series where he's just hitting the ball hard, nearly 60% hard hit, 593 expected slugging. And, again, the launch numbers are really what you need for those home runs. And Joe Ryan, he really provides it on his own. So if Nimmo keeps doing what he's doing from the left side, plus 520 is an advantageous number.
We have 9, just refresh. 9 home run props on NoVig right now on the Portfolio EV tool. 3 of them are for people to not homer, which I'm going to go ahead and assume that you guys don't want. But Byron Buxton, Brian Hayes, Nate Lowe, Caminero, Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos. There's a couple different home run bets out there if you want to try to grab them. I'm doubting that you want to take minus 652 Michael Conforto to not homer.
So I will say this. Well, I was speaking to it. The ARB situation that you can run into in some of these spots. This is peer-to-peer. I guess I should probably just kind of, throw it out this way. It's peer-to-peer. So I can post whatever number I want. And then if somebody wants to take action on the other side, no matter what it is, they can take action against it. And that's the fun part of this, is that you're never going to get limited. You're never going to run into a situation where your order isn't going to get filled more than likely if you're giving something better than available at sportsbooks for people to homer. So it's a way of getting a lot of action down. Like if you're somebody with a massive bankroll, you want to roll out a lot of these to not home run type props, because the VIG on them is already like, you have to be very selective and like very particular. Like how does somebody go about narrowing it down to 3 or 4 to homer? Yeah, obviously that's going to be something that I like to do. And obviously that's something that I've done for years and years and years now in a pretty effective way. But like, I do think there's a world where if I can get 30, 40K and offer up some of the home run odds at advantageous numbers, I think you could really make bank over there. But one bad day could really bury you if you're going nuts.
There we go. It's all relatively new to me. I haven't messed with exchanges all that much. It's been a while since I've been tracking Matchbook. That was a 15 years ago joint for me.
God.
But
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, that was one of the more public exchanges. If you needed some data back in the day, the good old
now
days.
It's just basically like, people were doing it with crypto all the time. Right? I mean, stock market forever. Now it's just like, here's a side. Do you want the other side? And then it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
So we've taken a lap through hitters and pitchers and stacks. Do you have anything else you want to add before we dip on out of here?
No, I think this was fantastic. 8-game MLB slate. Josh Engelman stopping by for the people with Greg Ehrenberg out of town. Hit the like button for him, if for nothing else, because he put in the work, Devin. Don't give up. Another one. I love that commercial. But anyway, Josh Engelman in the house. It was great to kick it with you.
It's fun, man. I'm excited for some baseball. Basketball back tomorrow. I'll be on early in the morning. For those of you that watch this show and watch our NBA content, moving the NBA strategy show for the playoffs. No longer 9 a.m. We're moving to 10 a.m. It doesn't have to happen as early. And it might just lead into MLB strategy at 11 with your boy Laffy. But that's where I'll be tomorrow, 10 a.m. Contenders back. Although it's not going to be a good one, but it'll be out either way. But we're here. We're at the end of the line. We've talked about this slate. This is good, man. Tell the people what you're up to right now.
Oh, yeah. So I'm doing Lindy's Locks live right now with my producer in Europe himself. So we got Greg out. We got producers in Europe. Our pets' heads are falling off, but I'm going to continue to just fire this up here live for the people. It was a 2-hour stream yesterday for 10 games. What the fuck am I doing with my life? But tomorrow with 15 games. I'm going to try to still trim it down a little bit here, be a little bit more direct with my plays rather than just talking through every little bit of the process. But hey, the process. I enjoyed that show with Josh Engelman. It was the best one we had here. So I enjoyed talking the process of some of the bets. If you do too, come kick it over on the OddsShopper channel at 10 p.m. Eastern time tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific, talking the next day's slate.
There we go, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hit that like button on your way out the door. Good luck tonight playing this MLB slate, and go Rockies.